wide open. You keep running.
Got 118 yards and adding to it. There goes Barkley. He's hit another home run against the Rams.
After grinding out and getting a huge win in the snow over the Rams, the Eagles will now take on the Commanders and the red-hot rookie of Jayden Daniels. And some are actually saying that the Commanders will win this game. Obviously they have a chance because they are playing some really good football, but I think the Eagles are a whole different beast right now because of the running tandem that Hurts and Barkley bring to the table. And then this defensive line is unlike anything that Daniels has seen. And Vic Fan-gio isn't taking what Jayden Daniels brings to the table lightly. In this video, I'm going to talk all about how the Eagles were able to beat Matthew Stafford and the Rams. I'm going to also talk about what the game plan should be to beat the Commanders and get back to the Super Bowl. And I'm also going to be talking about any news going on with this team because obviously there is so much happening at the moment. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. We are on the road to 50,000 subscribers, and with your support, I believe that we can get there super fast. Alright, so let's start off breaking down some game film and what the Eagles did well against LA. Obviously this game was played in the snow, which created a whole different element from a schematic point. It meant the game was going to be won from ball security and then the offensive line creating holes for the running backs. But the Eagles still allowed Hurts to go out there and make plays, specifically in play action. Let's take a look at this play right here. Hurts is lined up in shotgun, 2 receivers are lined up on each side, and let's just look at Barkley here. The ball didn't actually get thrown to him, it could have, but the awareness on display was just astounding. At first he was looking to block, but literally the instant that he saw everyone was covered, he slipped out right, and who knows how many yards he would have gained if Jalen saw him out of the corner of his eye. But instead Hurts threw a laser up the middle of the field, stepping up in the pocket to Dallas Goedert, who made his defender slip, and he got a huge gain. Next up, let's take a look at the infamous Saquon touchdown run. Even before the play, there was a camera angle that showed Barkley scanning the coverage, and he literally said, "I got this," and looked at Jalen Hurts. It's crazy how NFL players can just read coverages like that. And wouldn't you know, he took the snap, waiting for his offensive line to develop the hole. You could see number 0 on the defense pick the wrong direction, and as soon as Saquon had a sliver of daylight, he was gone. If you give this man any momentum at all, he is gonna win a foot race no matter who the defender is. Not even DK Metcalf after an interception would be able to catch him. And he ran to the end zone untouched to pretty much seal the game. Well, for about a minute, because Stafford went demon mode after. But this was still a big moment in the Eagles getting this W. Going back to earlier in the game, still in shotgun formation, and as the Eagles love to run, they again also had 2 guys out wide on each side of the line. And this was a full display of Jalen Hurts' mobility and awareness, because he didn't hesitate one bit. He went through his reads, and before you could even blink, he was looking to scramble. Because of the threat Barkley brings to the table with those out routes, he took what would have been the QB spy with him, putting nothing but green grass in front of Hurts. And once he took off, there was no way the defensive line was going to catch up to him, especially on a slick field. And he also cut right and lost the one defender in front of him, allowing him to get the Eagles the first down to move the chains. There were so many moments in this game where the Eagles made the Rams start to doubt themselves. From a schematic standpoint, I thought the execution was near flawless for the first 55 minutes of this game. Obviously the last 5 were kind of rough, but they got the job done. And I know I've been showing and giving a lot of credit to the offense, but the defense and the defensive line made so many big plays. They created turnovers, they were ball hunting, constantly scratching and clawing their way in to try to poke the ball free, which they did when Jalen Carter forced that huge turnover. And then when the defense absolutely had to make a play on that 4th down, the secondary stepped up, and the D-line created pressure, forcing Matthew Stafford to heave one out of bounds. The Eagles won 28-22, and looking at some of the numbers from this game, Jalen Hurts was 15 of 20, throwing for 128 yards. But the big thing that stands out to me from this game, when looking at his numbers on the stat sheet, was the 0 turnovers. Ball security really was my main point of emphasis for this game. And then for the player of the game, Saquon Barkley, his numbers were off the charts. 205 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging a whopping 7.9 yards per carry. And he also had 27 yards receiving as well. And it was Dallas Goedert that led the way in receiving yards by a lot with 56 yards off 4 receptions. Alright, So let's now look forward to this upcoming matchup against the Washington Commanders. They of course pulled off the upset of the season against the Detroit Lions, so I gotta give them credit, because they are rolling. The offense put up 45 points, and they only have 1 punt in their last 19 drives, which is insane. But again, this Eagles defensive line is healthy, they're ready, and they're hungry to dominate and prove why they are the best in the business. The reason why I am confident in the Eagles heading into this matchup is that the Detroit Lions defensive line recorded their worst game of the season in terms of defensive efficiency, and it was their worst effort since week 7 of last year. So basically the Commanders caught the Lions on a bad night and just completely exposed them. So how should this Eagles defense and Vic Fan-gio prepare to slow down Daniels? Well, first off, you gotta apply pressure while also mixing in a QB spy, and they gotta get the early lead, because the last thing you want is for Daniels to get comfortable. You want to make him feel like he needs to be a hero, and if they can do that, he's gonna make a costly turnover. I feel like he's overdue, and I'm not saying that's gonna come from an interception. It could be a fumble, but I think something is gonna happen. The Eagles are not gonna make this game smooth sailing like the Lions game was. I just really feel like the Eagles need to shrink the game. They need to lean on their strength, which is their offensive line and that run game with Saquon Barkley. And even though that seems like an obvious, time and time again, we see teams panic when they get down early and they go away from their game plan. Barkley really could single-handedly bring this team to the Super Bowl if the defense can get a few big stops. So that's my 2 cents on this upcoming game. But other than that, other news going on with injuries is that both Jalen Hurts with his knee and cornerback Quinyon Mitchell both participated in Wednesday's walkthrough and were officially limited on the first injury report of the week. The 2 that did not participate as expected were Dallas Goedert with his ankle and Cam Jurgens because of his back. We'll learn more about those 2 when the team holds a real practice on Thursday. If they're not on the field for practice, then it's more notable. And then going back to that Rams game, here's what some of the guys had to say in their post-game interviews.
I want to give a ton of credit to the team we just played. You know, they've evolved as the years gone on, and offensively, defensively, been very, very efficient in what they do. We talked about their front 7 all week and how they're able to affect the passer, and they did that tonight.
Winning football games, especially around this time of year, or whatever it takes. The defense, man, our defense is special, making plays for us. Of course, we're going to go back and watch and see what we can do better offense. The O-line did a great job for us, and we made enough plays and got the win.
That's all I have to say for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you thought about that game and what you would like to see next. And until then, I will see you all later.